In this video, I'm going to show you how San Antonio's $130 million luxury hotel's worst nightmare came true. Not because the tower fell into the Riverwalk, but because the construction defects, the lawsuits, the loan, the lender, and a softening downtown market all stacked up on the same building until the only thing left to do was auction it on the sidewalk. Starting with the morning, a foreclosure notice landed on one of the city's shiniest new luxury hotels. Luxury hotels are not supposed to end up in public auctions. They are supposed to end up in glossy magazine spreads with words like timeless and elevated and a bold new chapter for the Riverwalk. Instead, the Thompson San Antonio Riverwalk ended up with a foreclosure notice taped to its story. This was not some sketchy roadside motel with a flickering sign and a coffee maker that had personally witnessed crimes. This was a 2-story, $130 million dual hotel and condo tower at the corner of St. 2, Mary Street and Lexington Avenue, sitting right by the Tobin Center for the Performing Arts and the San Antonio Museum of Art. With rooftop pool, fine dining restaurant, spa, and 162 hotel rooms managed by Hyatt under the Thompson luxury brand. Above the hotel sat the Arts Residences, the kind of luxury condominiums where the listings have 10-foot windows, Italian cabinetry, and price tags written in a font that quietly judges your bank account. For a property like that to get hauled out for public auction is the kind of plot twist that real estate people pretend not to be excited about while refreshing their browsers constantly. In early 2026, a foreclosure notice was filed alleging that the building's owner failed to repay a $44 million loan. By March 2026, after a public auction on the sidewalk where no outside bidders showed up, the lender used a credit bid of $40.5 million to take ownership of the hotel portion of the tower. The luxury condos above were sold individually and were not part of the foreclosure sale. The luxury hotel below got swallowed by its own debt. Rewind to the promise, because that is where these stories always start. The Thompson San Antonio Riverwalk was supposed to be the kind of project that helped redefine downtown. Houston-based developer DC Partners brought the concept to life as a mixed-use luxury tower, hotel below, residences above, all wrapped in a 2-story modern build that wanted to feel both sleek and locally rooted. The hotel floors offered 162 boutique guest rooms, including roughly 33 luxury suites, plus a rooftop pool and bar named The Moon's Daughter, a restaurant called Landrace, riverfront meeting space, a spa, and the kind of interior design you book just so your phone camera can pretend you have taste. Above the hotel, the Arts Residences offered around 58 condominiums plus a handful of penthouses, with 10-foot ceilings, 10-foot windows, integrated lighting in the kitchen cabinets, and the general energy of a sales brochure that has never been touched by a regular person. This was not random ambition. San Antonio was a city with serious tourism numbers. The Alamo, the Riverwalk, conventions, sports, big medical centers, big military presence, a growing food scene, a growing arts district that the Thompson was literally helping anchor. Downtown was in the middle of trying to evolve from family vacation backdrop into sophisticated 2-4-hour neighborhood, and a brand new luxury hotel condo tower was supposed to be one of the centerpieces of that evolution. For the developers, the math was elegant. Sell the high-end condos to bring in major capital up front, operate the luxury hotel for long-term cash flow, build brand, help redefine the Riverwalk's upper end, be the building people pointed at when they wanted to show that San Antonio had grown up. For the city, the project was a glossy proof point. Downtown could attract upscale travelers, upscale residents, and upscale restaurants in the same tower. For the brand, it was another luxury feather in Hyatt's Thompson collection. The Thompson San Antonio Riverwalk was supposed to be a quiet flex. Every hotel disaster has a hidden assumption. Here, the assumption was that putting a 2-story tower of hotel rooms and luxury condos together, each with their own systems, owners, brand standards, and timelines would behave like one clean project once you slapped a glossy interior on top. It did not. A luxury hotel and a luxury condo building are different animals. A hotel needs constant operations, restaurant kitchens, room turnover, big mechanical systems, public spaces and brand standards from the operator. A luxury condo building needs quiet, privacy, security, residential-grade systems, individual ownership, condo associations, finishes that survive forever, and a community that does not feel like they are living above a nightclub. Combining the two into one tower is doable, but you cannot wing it. The mechanical separation, soundproofing, smoke and odor control, ventilation, and operational coordination all have to be designed with brutal precision. Which brings us to the lawsuits. According to multiple reports, the Thompson Hotel ended up tangled in legal disputes that pointed at faulty construction and design errors. One of the most colorful examples was a lawsuit involving the neighboring Hotel Indigo, which alleged that smoke and odors from the Thompson side caused damage so severe that affected carpet, furniture, and fixtures had to be replaced. Hotel Indigo estimated nearly $1 million in renovation costs and significant lost room revenue. The complaint described the damage as irreversible and unfixable. Now, smoke and odor disputes between luxury hotel neighbors are not exactly the kind of thing that ends up in the brochure, but they hint at a deeper problem. The building's systems were doing things they were not supposed to do, in directions they were not supposed to go. There were also broader allegations of construction defects, design errors, and disputes over how the property had been built. When a luxury hotel ends up on the auction block while sitting on top of construction defect lawsuits, that is no longer a renovation issue or a market issue. That is the building's own engineering coming back with notes. The first symptoms were not headlines. They were small, ugly details. Guests at the Thompson had a mixed experience over the years. The building looked beautiful. The dining was praised. The rooftop bar got the photogenic crowd. But review sites also captured the usual luxury hotel complaints: inconsistent service, maintenance, value, and the sense that the property was a little younger than its expectations. Meanwhile, the legal layer started filling up. Lawsuits cited construction issues. The neighbor next door went after them over smoke and odors. Behind the scenes, the financial machinery was straining. The developers later said the hotel struggled against a difficult downtown market, skyrocketing competition in San Antonio's hotel sector, and rising interest rates that hammered properties built around recent low-rate financing. For a luxury hotel, that is a brutal combination. Operate in a market with growing supply. Operate in a city where downtown demand has not fully recovered. Operate under a name that needs constant performance to keep its luxury price. Operate inside a tower whose construction is being publicly questioned. Operate with debt that needs to be refinanced at numbers nobody enjoys saying out loud. Any one of those is annoying. All of them together is how a building ends up on the auction block. A $44 million loan refinanced in 2024 became the next pressure point. When the borrower fell behind, the lenders said they offered 4 chances to remedy the default throughout 2025. None of those chances stuck. By February 2026, the foreclosure notice landed. And that is where this story diverges from a normal real estate sob story. The Thompson was not bought, renovated, and slowly drained over decades. It was built from scratch, opened recently, and pushed straight from ribbon-cutting energy into legal fights. There was no long honeymoon. The defects, complaints, and disputes started showing up almost on cue. The shiny new tower was barely past its grand opening before the paperwork around it began behaving like a much older, much more tired building. The lawsuits are what make this story different from a normal market-driven hotel default. This is not just a luxury property hit by a bad year. This is a luxury property where multiple legal complaints pointed back to how the building itself was put together. The smoke and odor lawsuit from the neighbor was vivid, but it was not the only legal headache. Reports said the Thompson faced multiple lawsuits citing faulty construction and design errors. Owners of luxury condos in a building expect the engineering to behave. When systems leak, drift, fail, or push problems into the wrong spaces, the complaints can turn into formal claims very quickly. For the developer, that is 2 financial fires at once. On one side, you have lenders watching loan payments. On the other side, you have plaintiffs watching the building's structural and mechanical decisions. The legal bills do not care that the market is soft. The lenders do not care that lawyers are busy. The building keeps generating expenses, while the lawsuits and the loan documents both demand attention. And here is the part nobody likes to say in luxury real estate. Construction defect lawsuits do not vanish just because a property is beautiful. They follow the asset. They can affect insurance. They can shape negotiations with future buyers. They can scare off the kind of investors who otherwise might step in to rescue a struggling tower. A lawsuit is heavier than a chandelier. There is also a strange psychological side to luxury hotels in legal trouble. Guests do not always know. Travelers see the lobby, the rooftop, and the polished suites. They do not see the affidavits. The brand keeps doing brand things. The staff keeps smiling. The cocktail menu keeps evolving. Meanwhile, in offices across town, lawyers are quietly cataloging the parts of the building that did not behave as promised. The disconnect can be jarring. A property can feel 5-star at check-in and feel like a courthouse exhibit by lunchtime. Then the broader downtown market kept refusing to play along. San Antonio is not in collapse mode. It is one of the largest cities in America and a huge tourism market. But downtown hotel demand has its own struggle. After the pandemic, hotel occupancy and average daily rates in the urban core took a hit. New supply came online. International travel softened. Conventions were rebuilding, but slowly. Local reporting noted that San Antonio hotel demand had only recently started to bounce back after multiple quarters of decline, and the city was trying to expand its convention center to boost future visitation. In the meantime, luxury supply was growing on top of a recovering base. New high-end hotels opened around downtown. Other big projects were in the pipeline. The Thompson, despite its rooftop charm and prime arts district location, no longer had the field to itself. For a building that needed strong nightly rates and consistent demand to support a heavy mortgage, that was bad weather. The hotel could still be busy on weekends. It could still attract events. It could still impress visitors, but none of that automatically created enough cash flow to cover a renegotiated $44 million loan, plus operations, plus lawsuit costs, plus brand standards, plus the silent pressures of being a luxury property in a downtown that needed more guests than it had. The $44 million loan is where the nightmare turns from a real estate problem into a legal procedure. The building's hotel unit had been refinanced by affiliated lenders. When payments fell behind, the lenders posted the default notice and warned that they had given the developer multiple chances to cure the default. When the cures did not happen, the next stop was the auction block. Debt is the part of real estate that does not care how the lobby looks. It does not care how many awards the rooftop bar won. It does not care that the bartender remembers your name. Debt has a schedule. Either you meet it, or it meets you in court. For a property that opened with so much momentum, getting served with a foreclosure notice is the equivalent of getting cornered in your own ballroom. The building can still be running. Guests can still check in. Bartenders can still pour. The condo owners above can still live their lives, but the legal machinery underneath the hotel unit is now in motion, and that motion has only a few possible endings. The most common one, when no outside bidder steps up and the market is soft, is that the lender takes the keys. And that is exactly what happened. In March 2026, the Thompson San Antonio Riverwalk Hotel portion was sold at a public foreclosure auction. The lender, Southern Realty Trust, used a credit bid of roughly $40.5 million to take ownership. No competing bidder emerged. The sale applied only to the hotel and common areas, not to the residential condos that had already been sold to individual owners. That distinction matters. The condo owners above kept their homes. Hyatt continued to operate the Thompson under its management agreement. The hotel did not shutter. The lights stayed on. But the ownership of the hotel itself, which had been carried into this project at a $130 million scale, ended up belonging to a lender willing to take the asset back rather than chase money that was not coming. For real estate, that is a special kind of bruise. The hotel was not abandoned, it was not in physical ruin, it was a fully operating luxury property whose owner could no longer make the deal work. The auction was not the death of the building, it was the death of the original financial story. And the price said the rest. A $130 million buildings hotel piece changed hands for around $40.5 million through credit bidding. in the absence of outside offers, less than 5 years after opening. There is no reasonable interpretation of that sequence other than this is a market repricing the asset in public. At no point did the Thompson San Antonio collapse in the physical sense. The walls stand. The rooftop pool still has water. The river still curves past the lobby. The arts residences are still occupied. People still book stays. Reviews still trickle in, good and bad. What failed was the assumption that a beautiful new luxury tower with a famous brand and a great location could absorb construction defect lawsuits, downtown demand pressure, rising interest rates, growing competition, and a heavy capital stack all at once. The construction issues mattered because they invited legal claims and reputational drag. The neighbors' smoke and odor lawsuit mattered because it suggested that real building systems were behaving badly, not just brochures looking pretty. The market mattered because the entire downtown was still recalibrating after a difficult few years. The debt mattered because $44 million does not refinance itself by hoping for a better Tuesday. When all of those forces sat on top of one luxury hotel at the same time, even a beautiful building started to sag in the part that mattered most, the financial foundation underneath the marble. That is the hotel disaster version of physics collecting the bill. In a tower story, physics might be wind, water, or soil. In this story, physics meant lawsuits, debt service, occupancy, and downtown demand all moving the wrong way until the only honest move left was foreclosure. Here is the paradox at the center of this $130 million nightmare. The things that made the Thompson San Antonio so attractive on day one are exactly what made the fall feel so loud. Its luxury brand made it newsworthy, but also exposed every flaw to scrutiny. Its condo over-hotel design made the project ambitious, but also created complicated mechanical and operational interfaces that became lawsuit fuel. Its Riverwalk location made it desirable, but also surrounded it with growing competition. Its high construction cost gave it polish, but loaded it with debt that demanded big numbers later. Its luxury price point promised strong margins, but only if the downtown market kept up its end of the deal. All of those features are usually marketed as strengths. The problem with luxury real estate is that strengths can quietly become risks once the market changes. The same brand that draws attention becomes the brand that absorbs every negative headline. The same residences that justify the project become the residences that complicate every legal dispute. The same Riverwalk address that justifies the rates becomes the address that has to compete with every other luxury hotel chasing the same guests. And the building does not get to opt out. It cannot whisper to the market, "Hey, give me another year." It cannot tell the lender, "I will pay you in vibes." It cannot ask the lawsuits to take a break. It just has to absorb everything until either the market lifts the property back into safety or the property gets restructured. In this case, the restructuring came through foreclosure. In the end, the Thompson San Antonio Riverwalk became a perfect case file. A new luxury hotel, expensively built, beautifully branded, in an exciting part of an exciting city, undermined by construction defect claims, financial pressure, downtown softness, and a loan it could not satisfy. The owners did not run out of taste. They ran out of margin, and the hotel, still standing, still operating, became proof that in luxury real estate, $130 million worth of ambition can still end up on a courthouse step auction whenever the math turns hostile enough to stop pretending. The lobby may still gleam, but the deal underneath it is the part that quietly decides whether a luxury hotel keeps its keys or hands them to the lender.